It gives me an immense pleasure to be part of this panel. This panel is special because we have three large developers from three large markets. Gitambar, whom I've known for almost 10 years now, is one of the largest developers in North India. He dons two hats. He's not only one prominent developer, he's also the president of Kiridai, so a voice for the developers across the sector. Murli, who represents Shriram Properties, is one of the largest developers in south of India, and Sujay, who represents Kolte Patil, a large developer in Pune and Bombay. And Anuj Puri, who needs no introduction. He's been a voice in the industry, an expert which has been very valued inputs to it. Let me first start with Gitambar as a representative of the industry. Do you think the residential market looks as challenging as they're perceived to be?
Not at all, not at all. See, let us get the facts right. There's a documented shortage of housing in the country. It may not all be in the mid-segment where we all operate. But I am saying even if 10% of that were in the mid-segment, there's a huge opportunity and there's a huge demand. What has happened in the last couple of years, you see, perception about the real estate industry per se has become a little subdued. The message going time and again to the customer, time and again to the buyer is, oh, the market is very depressed, don't buy. It will come down, there will be a correction of prices. So the buyer, the end user, and also to an extent the investor, says, you know, what's the rush? भाव तो नीचे आ रहे हैं, आराम से खरीदेंगे, सस्ते में खरीदेंगे. But that is not the fact. It's not a fact because there's already been a correction of 15 to 20% in the last year and a half. Input costs have gone up. Prices have bottomed out. Now, there's also, you know, something like a withholding tax. It's called an annual lettable value. On that, we have to pay income tax. Whatever is not sold, we have to pay income tax on that, and that will be loaded onto the customer. So this is the bottom of the price platform, and it's the best time to buy now. The message which has to go from our industry, even from our developers, is that, you know, this is the best we can do. Isse come up rates nahi aayenge, and it's a good time to buy. Please go ahead and buy. I think things have we've hit the bottom, and now it's only going to be, I won't say it's going to be exponentially high from here, but then we'll be slowly, volumes will see an increase. Good developers who delivered in the past will see good transactions happening in their businesses. And like I said, there is a documented demand. There's a shortfall. And the business is going to be pretty normal in coming times.
Sujay, you operate into the most tough market where people in Bombay, everyone is expecting property prices to come down. And this is one market where property prices have really escalated over a period of 5-7 years. What is your view on Bombay market? That's where the inventories are really high.
So we have 10 projects in Mumbai now. Mostly all of them are in the suburbs from Bandra till Dahisar and Chembur. So if I have to look at last 2 years, mostly in markets where infrastructure development has happened, the prices have escalated. In some of the micro markets like where we are sitting right now, there has been a lot of oversupply and infra hasn't really kept up pace. So we have seen either stagnation or correction in the property prices. But Mumbai still, I would say, compared to last year, is doing significantly well this year. We have had 2 launches of projects in the last 4 months, and both have really kept up with respect to price increase, with respect to offtake of the supply. They've done phenomenally well if we compare how the scenario was last year.
So Anuj, a view from you, definitely looks like the focus is going to be on affordable housing. The high end and the luxury market is somewhere I guess the developers are also not going to really focus large. On one end, we are looking at residential market where there is a weakness in terms of velocities. On the other hand, we are looking at commercial properties, which seems to be turning around, which is a reflection of how our economy is doing. So if you can help our viewers and the partners to how do you see residential and commercial market right now?
And Sharad, as I was sitting in here, I was thinking exactly that. And, I was with Mr. Motilal Oswal 4 or 5 years ago. We came into this building, no taker for this building. He had the vision at that time to take it. And, now you sit in and you see like this, a grand, construction that was done, but very little appreciation that was done. I think you would have probably in 4 or 5 years made 100% on the value of this asset. And that's what I think Gitambar and Murli are really reflecting, that you have to really look at what the market is. At that time, and he would recall, there was no taker for office. Everybody was saying office is a dead investment, we don't want to get in there, this is not going to come back. And look at it, how strongly that offices has come back. That market has just zoomed. Every quarter between 1.5% to 5% is the rental growth that we are seeing. Every quarter, 1.5% to 5% the growth on the rentals. And particularly Murli's market, I mean, it is just berserk today. Today in Bangalore, we are leasing stuff, which is till end of 2017. There is no stock available on the office, which will get delivered in 2015 or 16. End of 2016, we are leasing the buildings today. That is what the office market has done, which also means, Sharad, that there is an energy in the economy coming in. There's a huge amount of push from the US corporates who are outsourcing to India. I mean, Accenture itself has more number of employees in India than anywhere put together in the world. So they have 140,000 employees, which is far greater than what they have in the US in there. That's what we're seeing as an energy from pharmaceutical, media, IT companies. They are the ones who are coming in and taking on the office assets. So they will come on the residential as well. I have a similar view to what Gitambar is saying is perhaps I would put 2 cautions on the residential, and I think one Murli highlighted very well, that not every developer is going to come out of this. Absolutely not at all. There are developers who are, I mean, Murli and Gitambar are fortunate that they have kept corporate governance and financial discipline in their organizations, but there are several who did not. They're not going to come out. The market is not going to come like this, that every pop that was done is going to get washed out. I don't think so that is going to happen, Sharad. And the second is that people who were very small developers, very immature, very poor understanding of the real estate and had gone and leveraged hugely into the market, they're not going to be able to come out of it.
So you are part of Western market, specifically Bombay. Bombay is one market over a period of last 5 years. I've seen multiple challenges around approvals. First, movement from old DCR to new DCR, new development plan, and regular changes happening in various regulations, whether it's SRA or MHADA redevelopment. With the new government coming into office almost a year back, I clearly personally look at the intent part. There is an intent which looks like. What has been the experience as a developer?
Hugely better than what it was. I can tell you last December, we had one IOD of a project. It required 153 NOCs, right? We got second IOD in this August. It required only 70 NOCs. Leave aside that, what we were pleasantly surprised is when the file of the second commencement certificate moved from the ward office to the BMC, we actually started getting SMSs saying, you know, your file is at this level, your file is at this level.
Wow.
And for the first time, we did not, our representative and neither the architect had to actually follow up for the file in BMC. And the file was out with all the signatures. Obviously, if it comes within 14 days, it is understood that there is no give and take. But actually, we received our plan pass within 14 days. So clearly, I think in the last 10 months or 12 months, we have seen tremendous improvement in Bombay. Recently, they have again, of the 70 NOCs that have to be taken, they have classified that 32 NOCs will be now given by private architects and consultants. So look at how much of, you know, subjectivity they are removing out of the system. Today, the only pain point that remains in state of Maharashtra, and I can Pune, Bombay, because we present both, is just the environmental clearance. And like Gitambar sir said, the day before when our UD minister actually came out with the new announcement that the NBC will be released by December, we were pleasantly surprised to hear that now the environmental clearance norms will be part of the local municipal corporation. So that takes away clearly at least 12 months. And whatever 12 to 18% of cost of capital.
Yeah.
So tremendous improvement, I suppose, in the last 12 months that has happened. Obviously, this is for projects which are within the system, within policies, because Bombay is a very heterogeneous market in that way. So, if you are requiring any change of FSI, I'm not talking of all those outliers, but if you are pretty much working within the system, within the framed laws, I think it is becoming increasingly easier.
Anuj, all this will eventually benefit the clients, a customer who are going to buy. One, they'll get timely delivery. It was all wastage, project not getting approved and delays for almost 2 to 3 years. Do you share the optimism which the other members have?
Clearly, I share it, Sharan. What Sujay is saying is absolutely 100% correct. At least in this state. There are other states as well that I would not share the same optimism. But clearly in Maharashtra, I think the Chief Minister has done an outstanding job of that, and the customer will benefit. The prices were high because of the cost of capital, the delays that were happening, the money that had to be exchanged, all that the developer wasn't paying from his pocket. It was going to be loaded onto the consumer. I think now with the way that the system has come out, I'm not saying that there is full transparency, but if it was we were on 10 or 12 on 100, I think we moved to 65 or 70. That's the significant progress that this state has seen. So genuine, I think kudos to the Chief Minister of Maharashtra to be able to move that so quickly.
Sure. Murli, you are part of, you operate into probably the best performing market over a period of last 4-5 years, which is Bangalore. And Bangalore is one of the market which has the velocities have been very good. Like taking from what Gitambar was saying, prices have been stagnant or selectively have come down over a period of last 2 years and looks like will remain stagnant. Do you see a consolidation happening in the market because the prices will remain stagnant over such long period of time?
I see consolidation happening at the developer level. With the current regulation which is coming and going to be prevailing, and also the expected governance level, which is good for the country, which is good for the industry, which will eliminate a lot of people out of the market. To that extent, consolidation happens. With respect to the demand, I see India next 20 years growing like this. I don't see a big issue on the demand side. Supply here and there could be issues. Some segments, some pockets here and there could be an issue, but it's all isolated. But overall, if you look at in the market side, there is a huge demand. If all the developers, particularly after the consolidation of developers, which is likely to happen in the next 2 years' time, I don't think they will be ever able to meet the demand what's going to prevail. That's my very strong view, not only in Bangalore, across the country today.
In terms of demand, but in terms of prices, you believe market can remain stagnant?
Prices need not go up. See, for the developer or for the investor, why should we look at prices only to move up? Are we making money? That's most important.
Yeah.
Are you selling? Yes, prices marginally should go up with respect to your input cost. It should not be artificial, and it is not good. Today's situation, particularly in India, and I believe probably the rulers at the central, they are also very, very sensitive about speculation. It is good. Country like India, we cannot afford to have a big speculation. Hence, I am for not speculative growth. I am for price increase based on the demand, based on the market gaps, not based on the speculators or the fly-by investors, I would say.
Yeah.
They are the one spoiling.
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, housing is a big need and there's a great shortage for it. So it should not be seen as a speculative asset class, but as a necessity for each Indian. Just to summarize and look at it, the way I have understood is that the market is going to go through a consolidation phase, mid to large size developer which has governance and transparency and abilities to manage efficiencies will get larger. customer focus is something which will be a big play. And focus on end user. The speculator or the investors probably would find it not too lucrative to be participating in this market. Just to have a closing remark, Gitambar, what are the things do you think will be important from here for 5 to 10 years?
See, from my perspective, from the developer side, execution, execution, execution. And any developer who's focusing on execution, I think he's a good bet for the institution to back. He's a good bet for the end user to buy into, and he's a good bet for even the investor, but must have a longer horizon, at least 3 to 4 years, and real estate cannot go wrong, and it will definitely do well in the long run.
You are in Bombay. When you say 3 to 4 years, people think about here 7 to 10 years. Actually.
Very good for them. Good for them. I mean, they have a longer horizon. Things will change, Sharad. 7 years is a bit long for a project to be delivered.
No, so that's not completely by choice actually. It's been an experience.
I'm talking about from our side.
Yeah.
I think you'll start seeing quicker deliveries.
Sure.
Because like we are talking about approvals coming in faster, you'll start seeing, tell me, I think I'm not wrong there. A 5-year delivery would be possible even in a Bombay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anuj?
I think as a developer, you'll need to start looking at this as an industry now.
Yeah.
And so, there will be respect for corporate governance, there will be respect for transparency, there will be financial discipline that will need to come in. You'll have to focus on customer, and you'll have to work on margins which are very different to what it was earlier. I think those who've got this sorted out in their head, I mean, clearly he comes from an industrial background, the firm is, industry, they know exactly what it is. And look at it, they've been very successful in that. That is what the play will be going forward. So from the consumer point of view, it is very nice what's coming in. In my opinion, in the next 2 or 3 years, it will still take time. I don't think, Sharad, we're going to come out of it next month that we're going to be out of it. I think there is this era which is going through. It'll take a little bit more time. But clearly, when we are on the other side, those who are going to survive, those who are going to emerge will be fantastic because they would have played the right game. And for the consumer going forward, this is going to be an asset class that they will cherish to invest.
Moli?
The regulation, whatever is likely to come up now, probably will bring all the developers in India in this hall in the next 10 years' time, is my view. May be good, may not be good. I'm not here to comment on that. That will lead to consolidation, or consolidation would lead to that. The second one, the technology, what the role is going to play, the disruption of technology in the next 5 years. Not only real estate, I mean, developers are yet to realize that. We have started witnessing in financial services and banking, e-commerce. I mean, what we thought shopping malls, it's no more a shopping mall. It's a click is a shopping mall. The technology and the data, dealing with the data, is going to make a huge difference. I see unless the developers, including the government, developers is just not Shriram Properties or the other developers sitting here, government for the development of this country, unless they start working on the technology and adopt themselves to the upcoming trend today, will just be lost. Sure. You can keep regulations, you can keep ABCD paper, the new generation society is just not going to even bother about it. It could be anything. They'll just not care about you. That's going to be the situation. And technology on construction or technology on product delivery is going to play a very, very different role. And it's heading towards a lot of challenges, a lot of opportunities, a lot of, good moments today.
I think discipline and consumer focus are going to differentiate, developers. Consumer focus not only from a perspective of meeting the demands, but it's also from the perspective of changing consumer habits. If you just see 2 years ago, 3 years ago, digital sales formed less than 5% of the total sales. Today, they form between 35 to 40% of the sales. But the kind of setup that you require to service the leads that get generated out of technology, digital, online, all of that is very different than what you require. I mean, today on an average we sell at least 1 to 2 apartments every day without the customer physically visiting the site. So he actually makes the margin payment through his credit card, mobile, whatever XYZ, and then visits the site.
Sure.
That is actually a complete shift. So I think discipline as far as day-to-day operations, like Gitambar sir rightly said, on delivery, financial, everything, and I think consumer focus is going to differentiate a whole lot of stuff.
Sure. Thank you very much.